Hi guys, and this is where the journey begins. It was a listing on Trade Me, and this is my purchase list. As you can see, there's the e-bike. It doesn't have a seat or a battery, and it had a puncture in the front. There's the description: power assist e-bike, no battery, parts or fix. So as you can see, my bid one was $80. So I brought a seat, as you can see, $20. Nice big wide seat for an old fella like me, nice and comfy, and that was about $31 with the shipping. The bike I picked up, so that's all good. And then it was just the battery. Now I don't have that listing saved, but I bought two 36 volt batteries and made a 48 volt battery out of that, and I'll show you how I do that. So we'll go outside and have a look at the bike. Here we go guys, I've actually found the exact batteries that I brought for my e-bike. Now I did my e-bike back in October of last year, so it's April now, so it's about 6 months ago really. And when I brought my battery pack, it was $50, and I already had two of them, well 1.5 actually, because I built a 12 volt battery for another project that I was working on. So I brought one of these batteries, and this is a recycled battery. This is on Trade Me New Zealand. This one's actually current at the moment. Gives you the details of that. Now this particular battery, as you can see, it's 10S7P, so 10 series of cells going downwards, and then each of those little blocks has 7 cells in it, so that's what gives it really quite a decent sort of ampere. Now the e-bike I've brought is 48 volts. This is a 36 volt. So what I did, and I'll show you the battery soon, is I removed some of these blocks of cells and added them to one of the other ones that I had, and I made two 24 volt batteries, which my hobby charger can charge, and I'll show you how I do all that in a minute too. But these are recycled batteries from skateboards, or says it all there, X-Lease, X-this, whatever from skateboards, e-bikes, whatever. Generally speaking, they fail because the battery management system just craps out on them. I check each of the cells. These guys have run it through too, but I'll show you how you can do all that with your hobby charger and check your cells, make sure everything's all good. Sometimes there might be a faulty block that's for some reason perished, but generally speaking, I've found with most of my batteries that I've brought, it's really the battery management system that's just crapped out and shut the battery down, and then it's pulled out. So I just go through and make sure that each of the blocks of cells haven't gone down below about 2 volts or something like that. Generally they'll perk straight up from there. It's great if they're sitting around about 2.7 or something along those lines. But once again, the hobby charger would tell you all the bits and pieces there. This is from a place called TechWiz. They don't sponsor me, but there's lots of recycling places that sell these batteries. I'm just showing you this one because this is the exact type of battery, model or whatever, that I used for my e-bike. So yeah, that's it there, all the details of it. So we're going to have a look at the bike. So here's the bike, guys. As you can see, I've popped on the new seat. The battery originally went down through here and connected on those terminals there, so I undid the screws and had a look to see which was the positive and which was the negative. Checked that out, soldered some wires on it, and then I covered them with urethane to keep them waterproof and make sure nothing touched them or arced them out. Zip tied it along, and I had an old plastic container, so that's where the battery sits at the moment. And what a great thing, it just really zooms. It's great big fat tyres. I've ridden along the gravelly roads and the sandy riverbeds in it, and it just, yeah, really cool. And that big seat is just super duper comfy, sprung, you know. So the battery, I'll just show you inside here. There's my battery, and we'll take that inside and I'll show you basically how that all works. And you know, the plastic box is good, it keeps it waterproof. I'll probably do something a little bit more permanent later on, but just in the meantime, I've been riding around on it for 7 odd months, 6 months, and just really enjoying it. So I'll take this out. It's just an XT60 connector for the main one. I'll see if I can do it here actually. Oh, there we go, can. Just take the battery out, and that's the battery there, big chunky mama. So we'll take that inside, and I'll show you the bits and bobs with that. So here we go, guys. Here's the battery. Here's the power supply unit I use to charge the batteries, and then my little eye charger, the 1010B, which will do up to 10 cells. So essentially speaking, it'll do a 36 volt battery, no problem whatsoever, but this is a 48 separated into two. Now I've chosen to do the two 24 volt batteries, so B for bike, and then the two series of cells. Excuse me, I'm just going to pop this down for a second, pull this apart, then I hook up the hobby charger, pop that on there, and this is how you balance the cells, is with the little, shoot you around here so you can see the balance port. Okay, now I've already set this one up, so it's lithium ion. We're going to charge up to 4 volts per cell. Now when you get a battery that has a BMS in it, generally speaking they'll take it up to 4.1 volts per cell. But if you don't charge your batteries to maximum and then discharge them to maximum, your batteries last like 3 or 4 times as long. So there's quite a bit of an advantage to this. And BMSs aren't really worth shit because they don't balance very well. They've only got tiny little resistors that try to balance these massive packs of batteries, and they only really start to balance at the top end. So the great thing about a balance charger hooked up to a hobby charger like this is it'll balance right from the word go. So as you can see, I've put it up to 4.5 amps, whether or not the battery's going to take that or the charger will allow it, because they monitor everything themselves. So you can see balance charge, it's going to go to 25.2, 7S, so 7 banks of batteries. So I'll push start, does its systems check, fan comes on, so we can check what's going on inside the balancing by just pushing the status. So first series of cells 3.7, 3.74, 3.74. When they flash, they're either going up or down, and then should be one more. Yep, 3.74. As you can see, this one's charging. That one 373. He's charging up to 3.74. It will hold, hopefully. They just keep doing their thing, and then just push back to start, and it gives you the overall. The hobby charger, I find, runs from 10 to 18 volt, but it seems to be very happy when it cruises all the way down to 10. And then I've got the current set, well, reasonably high, but as you can see, the amperage it's taking is 2.5 amps that are going into the battery, so I can turn that down a little bit. Somewhere around there, 3 amps. But it does drop the amperage here, so we'll crank that back up to about, I think it's a maximum of 10 on the iCharger, so we'll sit around about 8, and that should give me about 2-3 amps going in. Yep, that's about right. The wee fan's going on the charger, that's great. You can hear the fan going on the power supply, and that's how I do it. And I run all this from my solar power, from the roof of the house, so you know, I ride around completely carbon neutral. And I'll show you, it's a bit of a mess in there, but I'll show you the system. Got a Victron Phoenix 1200 inverter and the MMP 150, and then that stainless steel big case there's the massive 280 amp hour battery. This one I got from a place in Auckland. I think it was called Micro Mall. It's a 270 amp hour battery, that one. But it's been in there for it's getting on for 4 years, and it's pretty amazing. Powers my fridge and freezer in the wee shack out the thing there, so my lighting and bits and bobs. So no, that's pretty cool. So basically I just wait for the battery to charge one side. The hobby charger will turn itself off, but as I say, 3.76, it's climbing up now, just slowly, doing its thing. So when it gets to 4 volts per cell, that'll be that, and then I'll charge the other side up. And incredibly cheap battery, and massive amp hours. I mean, between 18 or 19 amp hour on a 48 volt battery, that's massive range. It just seems to go and go and go. When you work it out, what's that? 98 cells in that block of 18650 cinewatts. So I think, for memory, you'd have to go back through and read it, but I think there are 2600 milliamp battery, and some of the new batteries from some of the latest e-bikes, I think they're up to about 32 or 34, 3200, 3400 milliamp, or amp hour batteries. So that would extend your range even further. But as I say, I don't have a battery management system, but I know the batteries are charged very, very well. They're all brought up super duper equally. I mean, just look how close those cells are. They're all at 376 at the minute. So is that one. Brilliant. So it really looks after your battery, charges up everything. It doesn't do just like a top level balancing for the last. Some BMSs, I think, they don't start balancing till they get to about 4 volts, and that's just the ones that are at the top. So they're not being brought up evenly, and I don't think that that's great. And people say, oh, but you haven't got a BMS to turn the battery off when it starts to get low. But on my bike, on the little controller, it's got a battery symbol, and I know when I get down to the last bar, the bike is probably, the batteries are sitting around about 2.7, so I just know that, you know, time to recharge up. So it doesn't hurt to run them down to sort of 2.5 if you have to, but generally with this much range, the amp hours being as good as it is, I can just go for kilometres, and we will do a test on that, but probably not in this video because it's starting to get a bit long. But that's how I do it. You might say, well, how do you hook up all these wires, you know, to balance, you know, the cells and things like that? Well, the wiring diagrams are on the on internet. I can put I'll put a photo up of what I've done. The instruction manual that comes with your iCharger will also show you what you do, first series. So here we go, guys. I've peeled back all of the duct tape and the cling film, which I use to, you know, waterproof the battery and to keep it nice and secure, to show you the inner workings. Now, when we looked at that initial battery that was on the internet, each of these blocks was connected this way, and that went to there, 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 and it was a long battery because each of these is 7, and you had basically 2 sides of 5, which made the 10. That's how that battery was worked. So I cut each of these where they were attached to the BMS, which was running that way, and then I've put them alongside each other. Instead of, these parts would go into the hole at the back of this one, and the battery was a long slithery shape like that. If you go back and look on the video, you'll see that's what the battery looked like. But for me, because I needed to separate it and make 2 groups of 7 cells to make my 220 4-volt batteries, this is the way I did it. Then obviously you just go through from the positive, this is the negative side, this is the positive side, and then that connects and it swings through that way, positive, negative, da 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 da, and you end up with 24 volts essentially. Now the BMS, this is what's going to confuse a few people, and I'm sorry for it, but this is when you buy these little adapters, the wires are pushed in and they put the red at this end. Now you can't mess it up, because see those little tabs there, they go into those little tabs there and there, and it's a 10 block connector. Just see if I can show you that. See the wee piece, and it goes into that little hole there. Now it's negative cell 1, but it's a red wire. Yes, imagine that it's completely, everything is in reverse, and that is actually black and all the rest are red, because that's what it should be if you were to be technical. But some BMSs work back to front, and these are pretty much made for them. So the very first wire of cell 1 is a negative, so follow this red wire through. And yes, I know I'm going to get some crap about this, but that's what happens. This is my main negative out. Okay, so yes, it should be a black wire, but it's not. All these should be red wires because they're attached to the positives. So the very first cell 1 is a negative. It says there, right there on the balance port. And then all these other ones you can see down here is a positive symbol. But that's just the way you buy these things. So the first wire from cell 1 goes to your main negative out. And then it's positive, 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 positive for the rest. And that's how it works. So, I'll just pop this down. I'll angle it down here a wee bit. So, negative out here, so you're going to expect the positive to be at this side at the end, and it is. So everywhere it's a positive terminal, so negative, then positive again, so there's another balance lead, negative, positive again, another balance lead. So, I'll show you that I'm not talking rubbish. So what we'll do is we'll hook up the balance charger. This is the uncharged side. And I make sure the wee pins are at the top. And I just gently push that in. Then I'll push start. She boots up. And away she goes. Let's have a look at what the cells are. 3.71, 7.2, so it's going to do a great job in balancing all the way through like it did for the other half of the battery. Okay, now what happens with this battery to make the 224s into 148, I'm just going to stop it. So that's stopped. Just unplug that. I'll unplug this. I'm hoping this is the right height. So you have a positive and a negative off both sides of the battery. These are these two wires here, positives and negatives. Now to make it a 48 volt battery, all you have to do is join these with this. Positive runs through here to the main positive out. Now that's connected by that negative running through there, this wire here, to the positive. I mean, that's how you make essentially a series of 2 7s become 1 14. If you can follow that wiring through there, that's exactly how you do it. Black is negative from one side, positive from one side. That's one 24 volt battery. Positive, negative, that's another 24 volt battery. And that's the wee piece I designed to join the two together to make 48 volts. And that's exactly what it is, and that's how it works. So I'll tape that battery back up together and get it all back in as it was. Tape everything back up. I'll charge it up first, and then she's good to go. And that's how you make an incredibly cheap battery that is a really, really good thing. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like and subscribe, because it would really help me out. So yeah, enjoy cheap biking. Thanks guys. Cheers.